Ignore the stain on my shirt, that's just paint. So I actually made this costume in May. I made it from MomoCon initially, and I really wanted to show in it, and then what ended up happening was there were several photo shoots that friends wanted me to be in on the day when Judgment took place. So I ended up deciding not to show him, and I decided to do the photo shoots. But I did record the process of making him. I haven't recorded any of the changes, but I'll go through that. A fun thing that happened over the spring was that my PC stopped working. So all my recordings of Discord had to be replaced, and there's only so much I could find. So there are some pieces of the costume that I missed out on, and that really stinks because each part of Discord is such a distinct different piece because he's a chimera. So like I'll be missing when I make parts of the hooves, or I'll be missing how I made other pieces of him. Like the sewing process for a lot of costumes is just a lot of rinse and repeat. You cut out the pattern, you sew it together, you get the costume. So I'm kind of sad that not everything worked out for Discord and I don't have all the recordings I wanted. But I can still explain how I made things. There's nothing that's like not straightforward, I don't think. So here we go. This is how I made Discord. The first thing we're starting off with here is just how I drafted him. So in doing this, I just looked at a bunch of different Discord cosplayers. I knew I wanted him to be like a Victorian circus-y kind of theme, and I already had this vision in my head, and I wanted both of his like shoulder things to be made out of different steel. And then I also knew that I wanted to use different animal parts and kind of make this weird fursuit abomination thing. And the last thing I wanted to do was add these stilts. And I'll talk a little bit about how I made those and why I hated how I made those and how I'm planning to change it in the future. I also put ears on this. I didn't end up making ears for him. I just ended up using elf ears because it was easier. Also didn't end up making the wings this big, but I'll talk about the wings later. So here I'm just kind of cutting out the pattern pieces. I really condensed this because you know how it works. This is actually the lining. The lining's really cool on this. It has little gold flakes, and I think that's really neat and makes it really like more individual. Getting the gold trim on this was a pain in the ass. I went through and pinned everything down, and then in the areas where I couldn't pin it down, or rather the areas that were on corners, I had to like go back through and pin it and like sew it so it would fold neatly and like make these little divots. Something I really wanted was to have a corset back on this cosplay, and I thought that'd be really cool. So corset backs are typically more on vests, but I really wanted this to be visible, so I didn't put one on the vest, but I put one on the outside jacket, which is actually made out of couch material. I just kind of went to Joann Fabrics with a friend and went to their remnants section and picked out the ugliest fabrics that I could that I felt matched the character, and then put it all together. So I actually don't have any footage of the vest being made because that was something that got lost. And then for the shoulder pads, yeah, this is what shoulder pads look like. And then for my arms, so I used this YouTuber to make all of my fur suit stuff. And I just traced my hand out on some newspaper so I can get an idea of how big I needed to make it and make the pattern for it. And sewing it together was a bitch. So part of it's machine sewed, part of it's hand sewed. It all just kind of went down to what part it was. Like I'm pretty sure I did all the fingers individually and then hand sewed each finger onto the glove because I felt like that was easiest for me. So I just went through and trimmed it. And I trimmed it extra short around where the paw pads are gonna go. And in non-traditional fursuit style, I decided I wanted to make these out of foam and then glue them on and then make them kind of that leathery look using tin foil and just pressing the tin foil in there and then using a heat gun to set it. And then once I did all of that, I went ahead and hit it with some Plasti Dip just to make it more durable, and then went over the Plasti Dip, which was black, with a little bit of brown dry brushing just to really bring out the cracks and crevices, footage that got lost. But yeah, I just kind of carved it out and also used some tin foil and just just made the shape I needed. So when I was walking in these, and you'll see there is more that I did to make them more structurally sound later on, but when I was walking in these, within the first 15 minutes, I hit a pothole, and the hoof went from like this, and it just like knocked up. So I was walking on the tips of my toes and I couldn't walk anymore, and I had to take it off after like maybe a half hour, an hour. I couldn't do it. I had to walk across the con floor barefooted. So in the future, don't use insulation foam. Use actual resin or something of the sort. I'm sure other people have made great tutorials on how to do this out of other materials. I don't know what was going on in my head where I was like, yes, insulation foam is what I need to use, and then I'll just paint it and cover it and put thermoplastic on it and make it nice and secure. It works. It works. I can walk in them. They look good. I don't know how safe it is. I don't know how much longer this is going to last, and I really don't want to put someone else in a situation where they're walking on something that might break. I had a bunch of tutorials that I used. I'm going to put one of the hoof tutorials in the description, and it is one that does not use insulation foam, so you can see better ways to do this. Glue on its own really isn't going to support this. The nails are kind of what made it. As the nails are in there, I think it really stayed sturdy and steady. So the dragon foot was made the exact same way. I just put toes on the end of it and then stuffed the toes, so those are actually like really soft. I can't hurt anything with it. I can't stub it. If I do stub something, they just kind of squish or bend. And then I just use Sculpey again for the toenails. I had to take those off later on and re-put them on because I put them on wrong. And those are literally just held on with the E6000. So far this is held up. However, the Sculpey does chip. So if you stub your toe on something or if you're walking on concrete, they will break. So that was kind of my process for making Discord. The one thing that you didn't see is the wings. And I will grab the wings because it's really straightforward. Here's the wings. I literally got them off Amazon. They are just bat wings, and you pull the lever and they go out. Let me pull the one that's actually. There we go. And then you can even see on the inside where the red is. I literally just put feathers over this, and it's cool because I then thread it through the gloves, and then I can make these move when I move my arms out. And then as you can see where the bat dragon wing thing is off, these are removable covers, and they also come out of the cosplay. It's just a pain in the ass to get them out, which is awesome because I can reuse this for another costume if it ends up having wings and just put different covers on. Pro or con, this is kind of small for this costume. It works because he has small wings. I don't know how well it would work for other costumes, but you can probably just make it really, really long. The thing with the feathers that I didn't get with the bat wings is that with the feathers you kind of have the advantage of it's going to cover up any folds. Like this just looks like a solid piece instead of a piece that's been folded and is supposed to be longer. But with the batwing piece, it tends to kind of crumple up. And then I just put these on the back and stuck the wings through. So it just looks nice. I could have made this nicer, but I didn't. The plan was to remove it in the future and redo it. I'll probably do that if I end up showing this in the near future, but like, I don't want to right now. There's no reason to right now. Here's what the hooves ended up looking like. So all in here is shoe. Probably goes to about there, and then this down is insulation foam, and I just covered it with fur. And then it's all thermoplastic. And then same with the dragon foot. Same premise. I made this go up a little bit just so the toes kind of had more of a curve. I was gonna put a dew claw and decided not to. It just looked kind of weird, so I decided to just do the 3 claws, which is kind of cartoony, but it's fine. I'm fine with them being a mix of realistic and cartoony. And then you can see where it started to rub off from where this was hitting the ground. Last thing is just the bird claw, which is just yellow vinyl on a glove with puffy paint for the smaller scales. And then I went through and kind of darkened the yellow glove underneath. These are just oven baked clay. They're just kind of the right off-white color, and they're just held on with E6000. I don't know how it works so well. And then I just added a bit of fluff at the end. This is a pain to get on because it kind of removed all stretchiness of the glove. And again, something that does suck about this costume, I can't use my phone in this costume. So if that's a big thing for you, make sure you have a handler or you have some sort of like touch-able device. I just bring a pen that I got from my undergrad that has like the little thing on the end, so you can just like touch your phone with it. And that's also what I use when I record videos. So yeah, that's about it. And this is literally like one of my favorite cosplays right now. Discord is just so fun to be in, and the reactions I get from him are so good. Because either people recognize that it's Discord and they're excited because it's Discord, or they're just like, that is a cool costume. I don't know what you are, but I can see like all the parts, and it's a cool design, and that makes me happy because like it's my own. It's my own design and my own. It's not an OC because it's based on something, but it's like my own costume, and I think that's cool. Also, something I think is really funny is that like older bronies will like they'll show their kids My Little Pony, so obviously they know who Discord is, but then they bring their kids to cons and they'll be like, look, it's Discord, and the kid will be like, that's terrifying. Unfortunately, it's not a super child-friendly cosplay. Something that was also really fun is that I actually got to meet John Delancey in this costume, and I'll put a photo up somewhere. I felt a little bit bad because he was very clearly at Fan Expo to be more of like a Star Trek person. Something I also forgot to mention that's really fun about this cosplay. So I actually wore it to a Ren Fair. So a lot of people see it and they're just like, Ren Fair fantasy creature. But something that's been really hard is people will be like, that's so cool. Like, what's it from? And I'm like, I don't want to say. I've had more people tell me it's okay to be a brony in the past year than I have when I actually was a brony when I was like a kid at 13 or 14. But it's cool. I appreciate the love. I hope to put out my Beauty and the Beast video soon about my process making the Beast and how that was and how the competition went. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really want to try to upload here more often and just put my ideas out here and just record everything I do and mash it together and kind of how to sit down like this where I can just talk about the process and talk about what happened.